By the Montana Television Network. Montana This Morning continues on Montana's News Leader.
Rescuers are working around the clock looking for survivors after Mexico's deadly earthquake. I'm Chris Martinez in Mexico City. The very latest is coming up.
I'm Morgan Davies, and coming up I have more on an affordable housing apartment complex right in the heart of Bozeman.
Good morning. So glad to have you with us here on this Thursday. I'm Missy O'Malley. Chet Layman will have our forecast in just a moment. Now, there are signs of life inside a collapsed school in Mexico City as rescuers are working around the clock to try to save children who may still be trapped inside. The death toll from Tuesday's quake is now at 230. As CBS's Chris Martinez tells us from Mexico City, there is hope throughout the region as survivors are continuing to be pulled from that wreckage.
A little girl is alive but still stuck under the rubble of what used to be her school in Mexico City. She's been wiggling her fingers in response to calls from rescuers. All day and night, crews have been trying to reach her and any other students who may still be alive. This rescuer telling a reporter that special cameras they're using indicate there are at least 2 other children still inside. Dramatic video from earlier in the day shows 2 students being pulled to safety through cracks in the debris. The school crumbled Tuesday during the massive earthquake, killing more than 24, mostly children. A few are still unaccounted for.
Here in Mexico City, nearly 40 buildings collapsed. Officials say throughout the area, more than 50 people have been rescued alive from the rubble left behind.
This woman was pulled through a hole in a ceiling more than 24 hours after the quake hit. This man was carried away on a stretcher after being trapped inside his building where the bottom 2 floors collapsed onto each other like a pancake.
Los equipos de auxilio trabajan para ubicar.
Mexican President Enrique Peña Nieto says efforts are underway to help those left without homes, but the priority, almost 2 days after the quake, remains saving lives. Chris Martinez, CBS News, Mexico City.
Officials in Mexico say the power has been restored to almost all of the 4 million affected. The metro train system is also now running at near capacity. Hurricane Maria has reemerged back into the Atlantic after demolishing Puerto Rico and the Dominica. The storm wiped out entire power grids and left residents to fend for themselves. CNN's Andy Rose reports.
Sounds like a woman screaming at the top of her lungs. Very high-pitched squealing sound, and it's coming through every crack in this building.
Hurricane Maria's oppressive flooding and deadly winds turned Puerto Rican streets into raging rapids, paralyzing rescue and recovery efforts and wiping out power to the entire island. The commandant of the U.S. Coast Guard made this statement about their work to find people.
First priority is going to be saving of lives, not just in Puerto Rico, U.S. Virgin Islands. I'm especially concerned with St. Croix, that was also in the path of Hurricane Maria when it was a Category 5 hurricane. We bring the whole federal family to bear under our national response framework. We'll work in support of the governor in Puerto Rico.
The head of Antigua and Barbuta's disaster services says the main communication systems for Dominica are down, and the only power to the crippled island is from generators and car batteries. Meanwhile, Hurricane Maria's path of destruction is far from over. The Dominican Republic, Turks and Caicos, and parts of the Bahamas are all within its course of chaos. I'm Andy Rose reporting.
Weather once again topping all of our headlines today.
In fact, here in southwest Montana, too, we have a couple of things that we need to be on the lookout for. Today is the last day of summer. That's why we're going to put a winter weather advisory into effect, because that's what we do in southwest Montana. 1 to 4 inches above 4,000 feet tonight, 4 to 8 inches above 6,500 feet. Gusty north winds out there, too, Missy. Could make driving challenge, to say the least. That's in effect until midnight of Friday night. We also have a winter storm warning in effect for that area of South Park County out towards Red Lodge. We're talking 10 to 20 inches possible above 8,000 feet. Blowing conditions. It could be driving hazards there as well. Keep an eye on that. We'll continue to update you in that. Meantime, temperatures in the 30s and 40s around southwest Montana, and it's not going to get significantly warmer for the next couple days. Stick around and have your full forecast from the Billion Auto Weather Patio in 10 minutes.
Thank you, Chet. Now 6:35. A class action lawsuit has been filed in federal court in Butte over the huge data breach at Equifax on July 29th. Equifax has our birthday and social security information. Nationwide, more than 140 million people's IDs were stolen in this security breach. Now, in Montana, attorneys believe that the number to be is about 368,000, which is about 1 out of every 2 people over the age of 18. There is a law firm in Bozeman representing all Montanans in this lawsuit.
So we filed this case to protect everybody in Montana and try and do our best as Montanans to represent the interests of our neighbors and friends here and not let just some national class action lawyer run the show completely for us here.
Now, if you'd like to check out if your credit was compromised during the breach of Equifax, you can head on over to our websites for complete details how to do so. And Rec Silicon in Butte is announcing that it's laying off 30 employees at its facility just south of Butte. According to a new release from the company, the layoffs were made for efficiency improvements and cost-cutting initiatives. The company said in its news release it plans to curtail its solar-grade polycon system product at Butte's facility because of the restrictions on solar grade due to the ongoing solar trade dispute between the United States and China. The company started in 1998 and will now have a staff of about 213 after these reductions. And it's a hot topic issue lately, the availability of affordable housing in Bozeman. MTN's Morgan Davies brings us more on the new complex that's dedicated to keeping its units affordable to local residents.
Here at Larkspur, both state and local government have worked together to create affordable housing units.
If that first base need, a place to put their head at night.
So we're creating a project that is as sustainable as we can create.
It's no secret that affordable housing is hard to come by in the city of Bozeman. So Homeward, a Missoula-based developing company, worked with the Montana Department of Commerce housing credits to build brand new apartments for locals earning less than 60% of the area median income, which for a single person is just over $29,000.
Reality is Bozeman is one of the most expensive housing markets in the state of Montana, and when you have homes that you can afford, your local workforce has the ability to live and work in the community that they live.
Opening an affordable housing market to a workforce is an essential part of the economy.
If you're really going to have a robust community, you also have to have affordable housing. And someone noted, like, this is the largest housing complex built probably in 15 years.
The 136-unit complex assesses tenants by income and places them in a financial situation where they can afford their bills and start saving. But the developers also wanted them to be homes that people can be proud of.
It's much better than a lot of the older product that exists.
Governor Bullock realizes that the availability of affordable housing is a need around the state and is continuing to look for ways to create more.
So the need is still there, and we all have to be working to find where's the next big project that we can partner with the private sector to make sure that it happens.
Although the apartments are now full, Homeward is planning more future complexes. Reporting in Bozeman, Morgan Davies, MTN News.
The Larkspur Commons is located right off of Oak across from Kenyon Noble. And the Montana Supreme Court has ordered revisions to a proposed bathroom bill. The Montana Locker Room Privacy Act is sponsored by the Montana Family Foundation. The act would require the government buildings or public schools to create so-called protected bathrooms designated for a single sex. The ACLU says the initiative discriminates against transgender people. The High Court's ordered 5 revisions. The first is to clearly define the term sex. The ruling says the initiative fails to identify whether sex means a person's anatomical sex or the sex that the person identifies with. Now, the initiative also must address the number of so-called protected facilities, the future costs, and further explain what allows people to file lawsuits. These revisions must all be fit within a 135-word constraint for ballot measures. And in other news, donations continue to add to our total of the Montana Television Network Wildfire Relief Fund. We've partnered with the Montana Community Foundation, and the total as of yesterday afternoon, more than $93,000. Then with our MTN's match of the first $50,000, and from the Arthur M. Blank Family Foundation, another $50,000 match there brings the total to over $200,000. Just phenomenal. Thank you so much for this. Overall, 525 donations of all shapes and sizes have come in, and every single one is appreciated. But the opportunity to give continues. We hope that you can join us this Saturday on all of our Montana television network stations across the state. Patrice Parks will be holding this telethon from 6 to 7 p.m. as we put on a live telethon as the reports to come in from those hardest hit areas of the states. We're going to have some reports from those areas. John Amy will be live from the Sapphire Complex. And we'll also be having a special conversation with Governor Steve Bullock as a part of that hour as well. And in other news, Merriam-Webster has expanded its dictionary, adding more than 250 new words and definitions to keep up with the times. One of those new words has created headlines this year, and that is alt-right. Merriam-Webster also has decided to get spicy with other new words, including sriracha. Webster says that the pungent hot pepper sauce is now appearing on even diner counters where the only ketchup formerly reigned. Propelled by their widespread use in increasingly internet-savvy society, Merriam-Webster also has added ransomware to the new definition, and also troll is going to be added to the dictionary as well. And the also including the Internet of Things, Froyo, and hive mind. Boy, I have some looking up to find out what those are all about. We do have to take a quick break, but stay with us. Up next, Chet gives us a full forecast from the chilly patio and also breaks down Hurricane Maria, her path, her destruction, all of that in just a moment. But first, we head over to our friends in New York and check in at the desk at CBS This Morning to see what's making headlines for you today.
Good morning. Ahead on CBS This Morning, Vice President Pence is right here in Studio 57. We'll talk with him about the president's stance on the Iran deal, North Korea, and health care. And Domino's CEO joins us, how embracing technology helped turn his company around. We'll see you at 7.